You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday, happy Venus Day, and welcome to the weekend. In this episode of Transits today, I'm going to take you through the energy of the entire weekend, today, Friday, as well as Saturday and Sunday. So if you're joining me live, let me know how the energy is feeling for you. Drop a comment in the chat, say hello. We'll be here for a little bit today, walking through the energy. We're also going to talk about St. Patrick's Day. Our friend and community member, Diane, shared some really cool information about the pagan roots of St. Patrick's Day. And if you're finding this video later, maybe St. Patrick's Day has passed or you're already well versed, I will add markers to the timeline here on YouTube so you can jump to whichever part of the video you are looking for guidance on. Wishing you good luck today as well, Nick. Good morning to you, Rose. Glad I'm able to join live today, she says. I won't be able to join the lives till late this month. Going to be very busy with Aries season. Makes sense. It's your time. It's your time to shine. Hi, Rachel. So it is Venus Day, and we'll talk a little bit about Venus today, but really the big heavy hitter, headliner of this weekend is going to be Mercury. And you know, as a Virgo rising, Mercury is my planet. So those of us who are Virgo risings and Gemini risings are really going to be feeling the energy of Mercury this weekend. That goes for everybody, but Mercury is going to steal the show. Let's first chat about St. Patrick's Day, though. I am wearing my green, but I think it's interesting. That with Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn, we have seen structures crumbling over the past few years through the pandemic, really through Pluto's entire transit through Capricorn. We have seen financial structures crumbling. We have seen more awareness about the patriarchy and government structures, right? It just so happens that in the last few days of Pluto moving direct through Capricorn, we are seeing the cancellation of St. Patrick's Day. I know that's a little dramatic, but I don't know about you. I have seen a lot of posts, a lot of people talking about the true history of St. Patrick's Day this year. I think it's a lot more people getting into paganism and learning about the true history of things. That's another theme that's come up with Pluto and Capricorn, is really getting to the truth of history, looking back on the past through a more authentic and kind of cutting through the shadows of the past. So let's talk about St. Patrick's Day. Again, our friend Diane shared this information with me, our resident pagan. I don't even know what to call you, Diane, but she's got all the knowledge about pagan rituals, right? My natal Mercury is in Pisces on top of my midheaven. All right, so this is your last few days of Mercury in Pisces. Hello, Belen. Okay, so St. Patrick's Day. Yes, it's a day many of us wear green. It's kind of joking and fun, and I might have pinched my partner because he wasn't wearing green today. You know, that's kind of the depth that we experience St. Patrick's Day at, most of us who live here in the United States. Maybe we eat some corned beef, we drink some green beer. It's become just kind of like a drinking holiday, especially for college students. But the story of St. Patrick was actually that he drove all of the snakes out of Ireland. But you might have seen information about this. Driving the snakes out of Ireland was basically code for him driving the Druids out of Ireland. So it's looked at as sort of a mournful day for many pagans, or kind of ignored completely. You noticed, I don't think I said happy St. Patrick's Day, because it's not really a happy day when you look at the true history. So the Druids were a specific group of Celtic pagans in ancient Ireland, people who, honored the sun and the moon and worked with the seasons and worked with the earth. So it's nice to know the real history of this. And when the legend says that St. Patrick drove the snakes out of Ireland, they're actually referring to the Druids because they had snake tattoos. And we all know that snakes represent rebirth, shedding their skin. This is what Diane wrote. So you'll see a lot of memes posted to social media, many pagans sharing things like, St. Patrick, you missed one. And it'll be a picture of a snake with a pentacle as a way to remind people that St. Patrick might have taken a lot of the Druids, but many pagans are still here, still practicing, still honoring their ancestry, and paganism is alive and well. So maybe he succeeded in overcoming this small group of people on the island of Ireland, but he couldn't stop the entire religion that spread, paganism. And this is a common theme, right? St. Patrick was given priest status or saint status by the church because the church didn't want pagans practicing way back when this legend was created, right? They wanted everybody following the religion that was spreading across Europe as a means of control, let's be honest. So having people on their own, worshiping the earth, worshiping gods and goddesses, having this deep connection with the earth, it's what many people are rediscovering now, their own connection to the earth, their own connection to the cosmos, their own connection to spirit outside of a religious structure that they've been indoctrinated in or brainwashed by. I know these are really heavy words. If you are a Christian or a Catholic, there's no judgment against you here. Many Irish people are practicing Catholics, right? There's a lot of beautiful ritual in Catholicism as well, but we have to be honest about the fact that St. Patrick was not really the guy that many of us celebrate. I think it's a fun holiday for kids. I know a lot of kids get visits from leprechauns, and there's a lot of fun ways that we can celebrate, but it's important to know the true history. Some people might even hear that St. Patrick converted a lot of the Druids, but he actually gave them a choice to convert or die. So, yeah, a little bit of a downer, but very in line with Pluto at the end of Capricorn. Like, Pluto's not moving into Aquarius until we face the truth of history, right? So thank you, Diane, for sharing all of that. I appreciate you. Yes, pagan consultant. I love this. Diana's our pagan consultant. I love it. Yeah, I was going to say Wiccan, actually. Technically, I'm on a Wiccan path, she says, specifically the Celtic pantheon, Celtic paganism. Wicca is under the umbrella of paganism. But I like just our pagan consultant. I loved when Diane shares her knowledge. And I love seeing people understanding the true history. It's similar to what's happened in the past few years around Thanksgiving, where Thanksgiving was just this holiday that many of us celebrated growing up. It was like, oh, yay, the Pilgrims and the Native Americans had this nice feast. And now we're starting to understand the true history of what happened and kind of wake up to what wasn't written in our history books growing up. A lot of Christians associated the snake with the devil tempting Adam and Eve in the garden, right? But in paganism and in a lot of spiritual practices, the snake is transformation, that ability to shed the skin and be reborn. So you'll see as you go down a spiritual path that the snake actually probably shows up quite a bit for you as a symbol of alchemy. True history. It's like Ancient Aliens, but ancient paganism or something. Yes, thank you, Diane, for sharing. I plan on just taking it easy today, being mindful of those who were affected this day, and just wishing for peace and love for everyone. Yeah, don't we love learning about the history behind things? And I think, yeah, pagan point person. That's another fun name for Diane. I love it. I think also this has become a day where many of us celebrate Irish tradition, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay if you're really truly honoring something that has roots in Ireland, or if you, like me, have Irish ancestry. Maybe this is a beautiful day to tap into your ancestry and honor the Irish people that came before you, or that maybe came over to America, because that's a whole other rabbit hole we could go down, how Irish people were treated when they came to the United States, right? So it is a cool day to honor Irish tradition, but I think it's also important to know why St. Patrick was named St. Patrick and who this dude actually was. So with that, let's move on to the astrology forecast. I just thought that was a fun little tidbit to share. Getting a check on the energy. The sun is in Pisces. The moon is in Aquarius. So we're coming to the end of this moon cycle. We're in the waning crescent phase of the moon, and these are the last few days of Pisces season. In fact, the next time I see you live, it will probably be Aries season. It'll probably be spring. So this weekend that we're heading into is really a powerful opportunity to soak in the last moments of winter. As we get into the forecast, you'll see that there's a lot of opportunity here to be still, be quiet, to go within, and kind of just embrace these last moments of darkness. So yes, Aries season is coming. It's coming. We can feel it. We can feel that energy building. It's almost here. But there's something sweet about just taking this last, like, it's like when you're leaving a house that you're about to move out of and you're about to close the door, and you just take one last look back at where you lived and this space that held so many memories for you. We can kind of look at this weekend like that for winter, like, this winter, reflecting on the season, maybe even reflecting on the whole entire year past, because Aries season represents the astrological new year. So it's a really beautiful weekend for reflection. Catholicism is predominant in my culture, Rose says. So I went to Catholic school for 9 years, but I'm also learning that my culture also has strong roots with witches. Ooh, yeah. It's interesting, especially because when we look at ancestry, we have so many ancestors who have had so many different practices. It can be both. We can be both. We can be all of the above, right? I was fortunate to have parents who are open-minded and embrace other religions and paths to spirituality. Yes, I think that's so important. I'm totally inspired by so many different kinds of religious practices. I just get personally so turned off when people are like, this is the only way. This is the way to have a relationship with God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, right? It's like, there are so many different beautiful practices that if we were all open to, we can learn a lot from each other. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox and get into astrology. So let's start with what is happening today. And that is a Mercury Cazimi. It was actually early this morning. We experienced a Mercury Cazimi. So I'll pull up the chart here and you can see Mercury is at 27 degrees. The sun is at 26 degrees. Neptune very close by in Pisces still. So technically we're still experiencing this triple conjunction. And as we've talked about in the past, a Mercury Cazimi is this phenomenon. Cazimi translates to in the heart of. So Mercury is passing through the heart of the sun for those of us here on Earth, from our vantage point here on Earth. Of course, Mercury is not actually going through the sun, or Mercury would burn up and no longer exist. But from our vantage point here on Earth, Mercury is passing over the sun because Mercury moves faster than the sun. And just for a moment, in this exact conjunction, this was about 3:45 a.m. Pacific time, so that would be 6:45 a.m. Eastern time, early this morning. Maybe you experienced this in your dreams. Maybe you experienced this first thing when you woke up. There is this moment of clarity. As Mercury gets close to the sun, it's almost as if we can't see Mercury. We can't feel its influence. It's being blocked or overpowered by the sun, right? So especially with this Mercury Sun Neptune conjunction, our mindset has been in a bit of a fog. It's been hard to find that clarity and really see things how we want to see them. But for just a moment, as Mercury is directly conjunct the sun, it takes the sun's throne, and Mercury, just for this moment, becomes the ruler of our solar system. So early this morning, moments of clarity, extreme clarity, were possible. And especially with Neptune close by, yes, there's still a fog here, but I will say that inspiration, even spiritual insights might have come through early this morning. It might not look like this insight that drops in that is fully making sense to our rational mind with this happening in Pisces, but it could be just a mantra, a realization, a synchronicity that you saw that is like, okay, we're guided. A message from your angels, from your spirit guides might have come through early this morning that just gave you that confirmation or that clarity that you're on the right path. If you were sleeping through this, maybe you had some very clear visuals or heightened visuals in dreams. Artistic inspiration could come through as well with this conjunction happening in Pisces. So, staying open and maybe even reflecting on, did any thoughts or aha moments happen for you early this morning, or any really powerful messages that you can't shake from your dreams? They probably carry some sort of wisdom that the universe is presenting you during this Mercury Cazimi. Good morning to you, George. Yes, those of us who have open-minded parents are so blessed. Yeah, love that. Allowed me to find my own way with multiple religions on either side of the family. Accepted my choice, and it's such a blessing. I loved not having the pressure to be anything specific, and my path found me. I love everybody sharing about their backgrounds and coming into their own relationship with spirituality. It's really a powerful thing. The Cazimi. Okay, yeah, let's chat about the Cazimi. Diane says, I woke up 17 minutes before the Cazimi. That's the Cazimi itself. After a weird dream, and spoke out loud to my partner. It was like nonsense mumble. He did not appreciate being woken up. You were like, the Cazimi, I need to share this with someone. Yeah, Rachel says, also with this Mercury Cazimi, I did a little bit of Reiki on my partner while I was sleeping, asked my higher self to help heal his energy. Thought it was a cool way to use the energy. Definitely, especially with it being in Pisces, like energy work or, some sort of spiritual practice or insight coming through is definitely powerful with the Mercury Cazimi. Love how you all used this. And if you didn't have a spark of inspiration or insight, nothing major came to me this morning, if I'm being honest. And that's okay too. That's okay too. But it does feel like with Mercury moving out of Pisces into Aries tomorrow, we're going to experience a little more clarity in the coming days, especially with spring just around the corner. Diane says, lots of dreams through the night. Woke up very tired. Nothing profound at first glance, but I'll analyze my dreams later, see if any symbols mean anything deeper. Yeah. Nick says, my parents were atheists. I was agnostic until I saw a ghost one time. I think I'm a deist these days. Yeah, seeing a ghost. It's funny because that's really what woke me up to like, oh, I guess I am kind of spiritual because I definitely believe in ghosts. So if I believe in ghosts, I guess I believe that there's some sort of afterlife or it's not just this. And, that can snowball into a whole spiritual awakening. Rachel woke up this morning with her third eye and crown tingling. Ooh, hello, Mercury Cazimi. Love that for you. Okay, the other transit we're experiencing this afternoon is a sextile between Venus and Saturn. So you can see that on the chart. We have Venus at 0 degrees in Taurus. Remember, Venus just moved into Taurus yesterday amidst that very hectic, busy astrological forecast yesterday. Venus is now at 0 degrees Taurus. Actually, Venus will move to 1 degree because look at that. Saturn is no longer at a critical degree. It's been a while since we could say that, but Saturn is finally 1 degree into Pisces. So when Venus gets there too, this afternoon, right around 3:30 Pacific time, we experience this exact sextile between Venus and Saturn. What does this mean for us? You know, we had that square between Venus and Pluto yesterday, right before Venus moved into Taurus. So we've been having some pretty big transformative moments when it comes to our relationships and when it comes to money. With Venus now forming a sextile to Saturn, in fact, I just realized Venus is not in Aries anymore. I've got to fix this little emoji. I know this is just me being my Virgo self, but I just realized it's probably like that in the forecast on my website too. Venus is now in Taurus. So this sextile between Venus and Saturn brings support and helps us to be a little bit more practical, responsible, mature when we're looking at love, money, beauty, and our values. Venus in Aries has definitely ignited our passions over the past few weeks. Now Venus moving into Taurus is allowing us to get a little bit more grounded, a little bit more settled, and more rooted in our values. And Saturn is here to sort of help us out. So this is a really great day for business negotiations, for taking the lead in those financial negotiations, or even relationship conversations. Remember, this doesn't just have to be about your love life. It could be about business partnerships or even friendships. So Saturn here is like, we can be a compassionate, gentle leader and really lean into that authority, that natural authority that we have, in order to move us along the path of success when it comes to love, money, beauty, and values. Lessons might be learned in these areas as well, with Saturn being the planet of lessons. So this is really just a nice day to get a little more grounded, as I mentioned, in these areas of our life, especially after the big transformation that we went through yesterday with Venus squaring Pluto. And Venus in Aries was a little fiery, a little passionate, right? So it's like, okay, let's just get comfortable here and adjust to a bit of a slower pace as well in love, money, beauty, and in reflecting on our values. Venus in Aries was very fast and passionate and fiery. Now it's like, okay, what would feel good right now? How can I take slow, steady, sustainable steps in the advancement of my relationships and of my finances? I really like this for us. It's helping us calm down just a little bit. And it feels like it's helping us tap into the slower paced energy we're coming into for the weekend at this very end of winter. Coming back to spirituality, Rose says, it all just comes down to, are you good to others and yourself? Let positive vibes ripple out. Exactly. I mean, and when we look at different religious practices, I'm just going to go back on a tangent just for a moment. Like laying hands is a common practice in Catholicism, and I think in Christianity too. Laying hands and Reiki are very similar, just with different names. Sending energy through our hands to another person, like, that's powerful. Praying is very similar to manifestation, asking God, Spirit, the universe for what we want and being open to receive it. Meditation can be a spiritual practice, receiving insights from God, Spirit, the universe. So it's like we have all these similar practices and similar stories throughout religions. They just all have different names and different characters, right? Yes. Treating others well is, I think, just a core value we can all get behind, and treating ourselves well. Great question, Brie. What would it mean for me that Saturn is exactly on my Mars? It might feel a little bit restricting, like you want to move forward, but Saturn is slowing you down or forcing you to learn a lesson first, maybe throwing a speed bump in your path to like really get you to be mature and responsible about the next steps you're taking. Mars in Pisces, I'm assuming, right? It can be very like, oh, I just have this dream and I want to go after it and it's all going to work out and it's going to be fine. And I'm kind of romanticizing what actions I want to take. Saturn coming into a conjunction with your Mars is like, got to be realistic here though. It's got to make sense, and it has to help you succeed in the long run. I feel like I could breathe better now that Saturn stepped off my midheaven. It's nice when Saturn starts to move away from a major placement or planet in our chart, right? Same with Diane. It was really holding me back. She felt like starting to see a glimmer of light now and the end of the tunnel. Saturn is like that big no. Yeah. So Bree, I love how you're all speaking to what it felt like with Saturn in a different part of your chart. Bree, it might feel like a no, like the actions you're wanting to take, you're receiving a no, or you're receiving some pushback. That's okay. Trust in divine timing and it'll work out. Saturn will move away from your Mars soon enough, and you'll be able to breathe a little easier, like Diane and Rose are talking about. Rachel says, really feeling this. Had a couple shadows from my partner's childhood come out yesterday, so I'm trying to find ways to give the people who hurt him compassion and light. I feel like it's a lesson. Yeah, and it's interesting as well that you're in this position, it seems like, Rachel, where you are kind of waking up to the truth of things and maybe the shadows that your partner has been carrying. And Venus connecting with Saturn might be inviting you to kind of see that mature, responsible lesson from what's coming up. It might be activating for him. It's really easy when we see someone we love has been mistreated or gone through a difficult time to just be angry and be like, oh, I hate that person, or why did they do that, or why can't they just get it together, right? I've definitely been there. But to be more of an authority in the situation and to be grounded in yourself and know, like, unfortunately, they were probably just doing the best they could with the resources they had. And that's really crappy for, the kids involved. But yeah, you're already on the right path, sending them compassion and light, hoping that they see the effects of their actions as well at some point. The transit class really helped me see the full picture of what's going on in my life. Oh, I'm so glad, Diane. She says, I'm counting down Pluto moving into Aquarius. It's next week. Pluto's in my 8th house at the moment. 8th house is Capricorn. So things have been so intense. Getting into Aquarius will hopefully lighten up. I think so. You are so welcome, Bree. I was literally getting chest pain when Saturn was on my midheaven, like almost holding you down from succeeding. Wow. Now that it's off, chest pain went away. Don't worry. My heart is okay. That is so, I'm glad you're feeling better, but that's a really cool synchronicity that you were able to see as you knew what was going on with the transits. Wow. Okay, let's chat about what's going on with the moon. So the moon made its final connections in Capricorn this morning, actually right around midnight last night. So 3 a.m. Eastern time, the moon connected with that triple conjunction between Neptune, Mercury, and the sun in Pisces. Sweet dreams, active dreams, definitely possible. Our emotional experience, certainly supported by our mindset, our ability to express ourselves, our inspiration. So late last night might have been a little easier to feel positive and see the inspiration in things, and our ability to imagine, our ability to be practical, kind of working hand in hand. Like the moon in Capricorn, Saturn energy in general can feel very like worrying, or what if, or is it going to work out? But this sextile last night to Neptune, Mercury, and the sun felt very like we trust in whatever's coming. This trusting mindset really could have helped us process some emotions or just be open to the insights of Mercury Cazimi. The first thing after Mercury Cazimi that we experienced this morning was a conjunction between the moon and Pluto. So it's kind of wild right now with Pluto at 29 degrees. Anytime a planet or a body is exiting a sign, it's pretty much always connecting with Pluto. So it's like this purging energy, this transformative energy that's like, we're moving on, okay? So with the moon conjunct Pluto at 29 degrees, first thing this morning, it might have felt like a purge. It might have felt like some darkness coming up, some shadows coming up, some worries, some doubts. But I also think there was kind of this beautiful silver lining with the conjunction between the moon and Pluto, because it brought some emotional awareness to what has been transformed through the past couple of years. This is the last time the moon meets up with Pluto before it moves into Aquarius. And it's been 3 years now since the world shut down, since the COVID-19 pandemic really forced us all into isolation. Very Pluto and Capricorn energy, right? It's a beautiful day to reflect on what has transformed in your life since then. How has your life changed? Reflecting on the past, it feels like we're kind of processing with the moon conjunct Pluto, the end of this era that we're coming out of. So you might feel very reflective today and just kind of looking back at not just your life, but societally, what has changed while Pluto has been moving through Capricorn. Then the moon moved into Aquarius at about 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. The moon will be in Aquarius today, tomorrow, and a little bit into Sunday as well. I really love this waning crescent moon in Aquarius for us because it is helping us to detach a little bit. The waning crescent moon is all about surrendering, all about letting go and letting God. And this moon reminds us that letting go and surrendering control can actually open us up to new perspectives. We can see things in a new light if we give ourselves a little distance. We have that new perspective. So taking a moment to maybe take some space to go off to march to the beat of your own drum with the moon in Aquarius could allow you to find your own rhythm without the influence of other people's emotions and input, and in your own rhythm, in your sovereignty, with that new perspective, with a little bit of space, you might find a new beat to walk to for the spring. So don't be afraid to take a little distance for yourself this weekend and stay open to new perspectives that you might gain from just seeing things from a little farther away. Okay, we also have Venus still at 0 degrees. So right when the moon moved into Aquarius, it squared Venus in Taurus. With this coming right after the conjunction to Pluto, wanting to feel good, being a little impulsive or compulsive might have been part of your experience this morning. It could look like early morning indulgence. We have this really intense desire to feel good and relate to others and get to the bottom of things, with the moon pulling away from a square to Pluto as well, or excuse me, a conjunction to Pluto as well. So it's a little bit like our need for space as the moon moves into Aquarius at 0 degrees. It's like, okay, we're eager to get some space. We're eager to get a new perspective. But Venus and Taurus wants us to have that physical, bodily pleasure that often comes from being around other people and sharing our experiences with other people. So there might have been that tension you experienced this morning between, like, do I stay or do I go? Do I dive farther in and connect and feel the pleasure that comes with relating to other people? Or do I just take some space and do my own thing, right? Or you might have just had some sweets for breakfast with the moon squaring Venus. That's definitely a possibility as well. Rachel says, I definitely had to put on music and sing it out throughout this morning. So much restless energy doesn't really help with all the shadows coming up. Moon conjunct Pluto, right? That will definitely bring up some shadows from the past. Had to release it in some way. Venus reminds us, even in a tense square, that pleasure can be a release. So sometimes, with the moon in Aquarius, going off on our own and finding our own pleasure can be especially empowering and liberating, to be like, I'm going to do this without anybody else's influence. I'm just going to do me and feel good for me, right? The moon squaring Venus first thing this morning. Okay, now let's talk about what's going on Friday night. So the moon in Aquarius is going to come into a T-square with the north and south nodes right around 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And this T-square marks a turning point between the past and the future, definitely reminding us that in order to align with our destiny, to walk the path that we are supposed to walk in this lifetime, we often have to let go of what we knew, what we think we know. A lot of reflecting on the past definitely coming up today. So it's like we're in this turning point tonight, this uncomfortable position along our evolution, equally far from the past and equally far from the future. And we have to let go of any past patterns that are sort of holding us back into who we used to be in order to align with who we're meant to become. So there could be this emotional turning point, and maybe it's taking that space, getting that perspective, like, oh, wow, when I was so close to it, I didn't realize I was in that pattern. But now with this space, I can see what's been holding me back. And I can also see what I need to do, what I need to change, how I need to move differently going forward, maybe in the spring, to align with who I'm supposed to be. Now, I will say at the same time this is happening, I'll show you here, the moon is going to oppose Lilith at 7 degrees. So here, we'll just jump ahead and see if we can get Lilith to show up, that opposition. Yeah, there it is. So when the moon opposes Lilith, especially the moon in Aquarius, if we're not getting the space we need, if we're not able to do what we want to do, if we feel like our freedom, our expression is being limited in any way, that inner bitch might come out in a really powerful way. If we can't do as we please, Lilith is going to force us to find our freedom. So remember, there is a fine line between being empowered and being like, no, I need to take my space right now. I'm going to do my own thing. You know, this is good for me, and what's good for me is definitely good for you. If I can get into a good headspace, it'll be best for everyone around me. But then there's a fine line between being like, I'm doing my own thing and I don't want you around, and like, leave me alone. You know, Lilith might come out in that way, just kind of forcing that distance. So remember, tapping into the last few days of Pisces, finding that empathy and compassion as we express our needs and as we express our boundaries. Taking space isn't selfish. It's just a matter of expressing what we need in a kind way, right? Lilith can make that a little more challenging, so be mindful of that. That is our Friday. Let's move into what's happening on Saturday. So Mercury, as I mentioned, is stealing the show the rest of the weekend. And also, as we talked about, anytime a planet is getting ready to move into another sign right now, it's going to connect with Pluto first. So right before Mercury moves into Aries, literally the hour before Mercury moves into Aries, it's going to form a sextile with Pluto. So we'll jump ahead 12 hours or so here on our chart. This is happening at about 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. So here's what that looks like. Yes, Mercury, where are you, Mercury? Over here, 28 degrees. We're almost there. We're almost there. Hold on. There it is. Mercury at 20. Am I on the wrong day? What's happening? Is it maybe nighttime? Did I get the time wrong? Hold on. For accuracy's sake, we've got to find out what time does Mercury move into Aries? Ah, yes, it's 8 p.m. So this isn't AM. This is all going to be PM. That's where I was off. Okay, so we'll jump ahead 12 more hours on the chart here, and now we'll be able to see Mercury at the 29th degree. This is like a behind the scenes view of what it's like to actually write the forecast. So here Mercury is 29 degrees at Pisces. That feeling of like, okay, we just want to put our ideas into action is going to be very restless on Saturday night. Mercury at 29 degrees, forming a sextile to Pluto at 29 degrees. We just want to get on with it already. We just want to transform. We just want to evolve, especially with Mercury getting ready to move into Aries, this really forward-moving, action-oriented sign. But for just a moment before Mercury moves into Aries, I invite us to go a little deeper, to dive into the mystery a little more. With Pluto on the other end of this sextile, it's this invitation to get to the bottom of things, to fall down the rabbit hole just a little more. Maybe to further subscribe to an illusion just for a moment, we could uncover deeper truths, something new, something that allows us to feel a little more empowered, maybe a little more information or a little bit of a deeper awareness before Mercury moves into Aries. So this is a moment to get more introspective, to go a little deeper, maybe in your spirituality or finding deeper meaning in artistic expression or for an artistic idea, so that you have this depth of understanding before Mercury moves into Aries, and you can take those ideas and those insights and actually put them into action. So the invitation with Mercury forming a sextile to Pluto at the 29th degree on Saturday night is just to go a little deeper into your psyche, to dig a little deeper into whatever you're researching or learning about, and maybe even have deeper conversations, more intimate conversations, more vulnerable conversations. Mercury and Pisces can bring through that compassion and empathy. So you do know, again, we want to know the situation a little better, a little bit deeper before we take that information and put it into action. So that's the precursor to Mercury moving into Aries, which happens at about 9:30 p.m. Remember, we're talking about Saturday night, not Saturday morning, as I previously thought. And Mercury moving into, oh, I love this, that you have a couple Reiki classes going a little deeper, learning a little more about spiritual practices right before Mercury moves into Aries. And then you'll be able to take what you learn and put it into action over the next couple of weeks. Mercury in Aries is an interesting energy because Aries is the warrior, the fighter, the god of war, right? So Mercury moving from this very sweet, sensitive, empathetic, compassionate, foggy sign of Pisces into action-oriented, clear-cut, forward-moving Aries can really help us have more direct communication, help us, again, put our ideas into action, but be very mindful because fighting words are definitely possible with Mercury moving into Aries. Mercury likes to move quickly. Aries energy ruled by Mars is very fast. So quick thoughts, quick words. We want to talk. We want conversations to move quickly and get to the point. If there's something that you've been wanting to say or needing to say, Mercury in Aries is like, get it off your chest. It's very confronting. And it can be helpful with being more direct in our communication. That can be very helpful, being kind of, I don't even want to say brutally honest, but just being willing to say what needs to be said without being overly empathetic or like, I wonder how they're going to receive that. That's definitely something that might have come up with Mercury and Pisces, like feeling into someone's energy before we spark that conversation with them. But Mercury and Aries is like, say what you need to say. Just beware of being too impulsive with your communication or too harsh, too brash. It's going to be hard to hold back something that wants to be expressed. Remember, not every conversation has to get heated. And just because you're being direct doesn't necessarily mean you have to be harsh. So expect quicker conversations, even non-verbal communication through movement, through action. Aries is this very physical energy. So flipping someone off feels like Mercury and Aries, saying a lot without saying anything at all, using your body, using movement to communicate as well. I think it is really going to help us get the ball rolling on a lot of the things that have been ruminating in our mind with Mercury and Pisces, and just really with Pisces season in general, especially with this triple conjunction we've been experiencing between Mercury, the Sun, and Neptune. A lot of dreaming has been happening. So how can we take everything that's been dreamed up during Pisces season and now bring it into the physical world and use the energy of the astrological New Year spring to take our thoughts and our ideas and our inspiration and make them real, put them out into the world, be bold, be confident in how we are expressing them. Okay. Let's talk about what's going on with the Aquarius moon on Saturday. So the moon stays in Aquarius all day, 7 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday morning. The moon will form a sextile to Chiron and Jupiter. Remember, Chiron and Jupiter are still pretty much conjunct. They're 2 degrees away from each other, but for all intents and purposes, we're feeling them together. So the moon will form this nice sextile to, I guess I have to go back now. Hold on. This nice sextile to Jupiter and Chiron. And it's like this emotional awareness, maybe even a new perspective about our healing, maybe even helping us be more optimistic with a little bit of space from a certain emotional situation. Taking space can be very valuable. If there's nothing else that we learn during the Aquarius moon, it's that taking space can be very valuable. So this sextile to Chiron and Jupiter can remind us that that space, those new perspectives, can help us along our healing journey. If we lean into optimism, if we lean into the potential for healing, it's right there for us to grab and work with. Growth is definitely in the forecast on Saturday, especially with Mercury and Pluto forming this sextile around the same time. It's like not only can we gain a new perspective from getting a little distance, but we can also gain deeper insight as well. So growth is there if we lean into it. Then right around 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, the moon is going to square Uranus on Saturday. With Mercury connecting with Pluto too, I do generally love this transit with Mercury and Pluto, but with the moon squaring Uranus, outbursts, upsets are possible, especially because we might be excavating some deeper stuff, might be having a deeper awareness. So that can be provoking. That can cause upsets. Anytime the moon squares Uranus, we got to stay open to the unexpected. It's like the moon in Aquarius squaring Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius. We have this insatiable need for freedom and independence. We want to march to the beat of our own drum. So anything that stops us from doing that could cause us to feel really upset and kind of revolt against whatever is stopping us or holding us back. Take space, take space, take space before reacting. Mercury is at the 29th degree. There's this restlessness connecting with Pluto. Yes, it can help us go deeper, but it can also make our communication a little bit more intense. So before you blurt something out that you don't mean, before you have a full-blown breakdown, just take some space. That might be the most responsible and respectful thing you can do, is be like, I'm getting heated. I don't feel like I'm getting what I need right now. I am realizing that my body wants a little bit of freedom from this situation or space from this situation. So I'm going to go take a couple hours, do my own thing, and I'll come back with a clearer mind. Maybe we'll just come back when Mercury is in Aries, or maybe we'll just wait to revisit the conversation until spring starts altogether. But notice, I like to say, even if you know what's going on, other people might not know what energy we're experiencing. And you might see, especially little ones, experiencing frustration or outbursts or being especially rebellious on Saturday afternoon as the moon squares Uranus. I felt boundaries tested this week. Definitely had to stay balanced, keeping my needs in mind, not sacrificing too much for others, not letting Lilith run wild. Well, with all the fogginess this week too, it's like, boundaries, what are those? It's like we can't even see our own boundaries because we've been in such a fog. So good for you, staying balanced. Wow, I was just thinking, it feels like yesterday Mercury was retrograde. Mercury in Aries, like, whoa, it moves fast. Yeah, and it's going to feel like it's moving even faster in Aries, because Aries is like, let's go. Like, we've got ideas. We got to get them moving, right? So remember, there's no rush, although mentally it might feel like there's kind of a rush once Mercury moves into Aries. Yes, definitely one I can get swept up in. Absolutely. Surely taking the kiddos to grandma's on Saturday. You can deal with their outbursts. You're like triple Aquarius over here. You're like, the moon is in Aquarius. I need some space. So grandma, here you go. You deal with them. Kind of love that. I'm sure grandma loves it too. Okay, let's move on to Sunday. Things start to really slow down on Sunday because the dark moon moves into Pisces. Before that, though, actually, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm just really ready for the dark moon in Pisces. The moon is going to make one final connection in Aquarius on Sunday morning, 4 a.m. Pacific time, 7 a.m. Eastern time. The moon harmonizes with Mars. So you might feel like you are jumping out of bed and ready to go, maybe wanting to like go on a little solo adventure first thing Sunday morning. I already am picturing my partner getting up super early and going and getting his like indulgent coffee that he gets on weekends. That's probably what he's going to do. We'll see. I will update you all on Monday. But he'll be having his lunar return as well. So he's probably going to want to be doing his own thing and having a lot of energy to back that up with the moon harmonizing with Mars. So let's see what that looks like on the chart. Back it up. make it go forward. Okay, here it is. The moon. Where is it? Did I go too far? I didn't go far enough. Here it is. Maybe. The moon. Am I even on the right day? What am I doing? What's happening? I'm so ready for Mercury to be out of Pisces. Okay, I'm too far ahead. 4 a.m. 4 a.m. Mars is currently at 27 degrees. And the moon, here it is. Here is that trine between the moon and Mars. Not that seeing the trine makes you believe it anymore, but I'm a visual learner. I like to cater to the visual learners out there as well. So the moon and Mars in this nice, harmonious, balanced trine. It's like we can easily process our emotions through movement. We can easily find that motivation and that energy to do what we want to do, to have the emotional experience we want to have. Again, it might come up as like a little solo moment. You might be motivated to do your own thing. And for those of us in Pacific time zones or Western time zones, this could cause some restless sleep on Sunday morning, very active dreams, as well as the moon harmonizes with Mars, the planet of action. So like what I picture this as is jumping out of bed first thing Sunday morning so you can get a little peace and quiet, especially for like the parents out there. You might wake up early before your kids even get up. I don't know if that's actually possible, but maybe it is for you. And you just have the quiet house to yourself. You just have that space, or you have time to go on an early morning run or do some yoga first thing Sunday morning, using your body to move your emotions during this trine to Mars. And like have some peace for yourself. Do your own thing before everybody else gets involved, if that makes sense. Even just being able to work out without being interrupted, having that peace and quiet and that space to yourself to move, to find your motivation on your own will probably feel really good on Sunday morning. So if you're feeling restless, if you're feeling like you've got a lot of energy to move on Sunday, actually moving your body could be very helpful, and doing it for you, moving freely, moving how you want to move, even tapping into the rebelliousness of the Aquarius moon. How does my body want to move, and how can I honor that freedom of expression? That's the very last connection the Aquarius moon will make, is the trine to Mars. And then the dark moon moves into Pisces right around 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. The dark moon is the last moon phase before a new moon. And it's really a time of stillness, quietness. I love the dark moon in Pisces, especially on the cusp of spring, because it's like really sinking into the closure, the healing energy, the introspection, that cocoon we've been talking about for just a day or two before spring really springs. So it's like finding the beauty in the end of the winter season, this final moment of hibernation to just soak in the comfort of our cocoon before we begin to emerge and reach for the light. In this darkness of the dark moon, we can find peace, we can find closure, we can find healing, we can lie still, trusting that intuitively under the Pisces moon, trusting that we'll know what to do next, tapping into what can be felt when our senses aren't overstimulated. We give ourselves that stillness and that quiet. So let it be intuitive. Lean into this final moment of coziness and darkness before we really get going next week into spring. The moon will come into a conjunction with Saturn on Sunday morning as well, because of course Saturn is at 1 degree of Pisces. So here's what that looks like. The moon and Saturn together at 1 degree. This can bring up fears, doubts, bring us down that rabbit hole again with the dark moon in Pisces. Might feel like you're just in the rabbit hole in the dark with the moon conjunct Saturn. And in this very reflective phase of the moon, we might be processing, again, a lot of the lessons we've been learning. There is really this beautiful transition we're in this weekend of letting go of the past, taking the lessons that we've learned along the way and getting ready to use them to sort of fertilize the soil and help new growth in the spring. So I will also say on Sunday, the moon conjunct Saturn can help us step into compassionate and gentle leadership, Saturn being that authority figure. And both the moon and Saturn in Pisces, it's like we're really aware of Saturn in Pisces when the moon makes this conjunction to Saturn. We can meet our responsibilities with grace. We can be a leader, but also be empathetic to whoever we're leading or whatever we're leading. Also, for some reason, I just couldn't shake the image when I was writing this part of the forecast, the moon conjunct Saturn, of like going to church. It's 10 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday, getting up, feeling like, okay, it's my responsibility to go to church. That could be not actually going to church. That could be tending to your garden. It could be meditating. It could be pulling an oracle card. It could be whatever that looks like for you. But, kind of this responsibility to tend to our spiritual practice can come pretty easily when the moon is conjunct Saturn in Pisces, this sign associated with religion and spirituality. And there could be lessons learned and perspectives gained in this reflective state when we tap into our spirituality and see that as a responsibility with the moon conjunct Saturn. So I feel like this is one of the most soft and gentle ways we can experience a conjunction between the moon and Saturn, because it's happening in the sweet, sensitive sign of Pisces. Yeah, quiet mornings are the best. Sunday's definitely a morning to get a little quiet. Maybe even Saturday too. Finding some quiet space for yourself, even if it's just a few minutes this weekend, is probably going to feel really good. Okay, and the very last transit we'll talk about for the weekend is a sextile between the moon and Venus, Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And I went a little far, but I think you'll be able to see it. The moon, Venus is over here at 3 degrees. We can see that sextile playing out. There's a lot happening on the chart right now, but what you need to know is that the moon is coming into this supportive angle with Venus. It's easy to tap into love. It's a little easier to relate to other people. We can find pleasure here. We can lean into our sensuality with Venus now in Taurus. The Pisces moon helping us find healing, and Venus in Taurus almost bringing a physical element into this. Like, healing can feel good. Feeling good can be healing. Allowing ourselves to feel pleasure can bring a sense of closure as well. Something else that came through when I was writing this, the moon in Pisces is a very creative energy. The dark moon in Pisces especially, there could be a lot of reflection and introspection and creativity that comes through if we allow ourselves to get a little dark, a little intimate, and just see intuitively what wants to be birthed in the darkness, right? Venus in Taurus rules the voice. Venus in Taurus is a really powerful energy for singing. So it's almost like singing yourself a lullaby or doing some singing, putting on a song you like to sing to, having a little karaoke party on Sunday afternoon could feel really nice, a really beautiful way to use this energy. Letting inspiration with the moon in Pisces, letting the inspiration we've gained over this past cycle literally resonate and vibrate through your body, through your voice. Your voice is its own unique resonance, and it's such a powerful tool for healing. So using your voice, even humming to yourself, singing a song you like to sing, playing an instrument even, and just kind of humming along can be a really powerful way of healing, and even putting out a frequency to set the stage for whatever actions you want to take as soon as spring begins, as soon as the astrological calendar flips to a new year. So, oh, look at that. I have my Reiki 2 attunement on Sunday morning. So it's like turning more into spirit, letting spirit work through me. Love this energy for this weekend. Yeah, really tapping into the last few days of Pisces season. Sunday will be the last day, the last full day of Pisces season. The dark moon is in Pisces as well. And it's just a really lovely time to find healing through creativity, through spirituality, and find a sense of closure for the winter chapter that we are closing on Sunday. So lots of healing potential, lots of perspectives that could come through and lessons that can be learned this weekend. And of course, we're all open to them, right? And that's really all we have to do, is be open to whatever is coming our way and trust that whatever information, insights, inspiration will come to us when we need to know it. Look at that. Great timing. I'm gathering artwork to put into a shop. Love that. So excited for you. All right, it was a long forecast, but we got through it. We learned a lot along the way, hopefully, and we'll come back to today's affirmation, which is I can see clearly now. Maybe we can't fully see clearly just yet. Mercury in Aries is going to bring some clarity for sure, but that Mercury Cazimi might have just sort of lifted a little bit of the fog or brought through a ray of sunshine through a cloudy day that allows you to see the light or see some sort of message or synchronicity that makes things a little clearer. And even if you're not seeing clearly, this is a mantra you can come back to. I'm open to seeing clearly. I am open to understanding. I am open to clarity. And I'm open to what I need to know. So affirming to yourself, I know what I need to know, and I'm open to seeing more clearly. All right, and I'm going to do a 3-card pull actually from the Spirit Allies deck. We pulled from this before. It's a fairly new deck. Felt like a nice way to end Pisces season, to tap into some spirit allies that we can work with. And it also felt actually, you know, what's cool is this deck has snakes on it. And I was really drawn to this when thinking about all we were going to discuss with St. Patrick's Day. You know, it feels very pagan plant medicine, connecting with different allies feels like a pagan practice. And so, yeah, that's why I was drawn to it. But I will pull a card for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday just to see if any specific messages want to come through for any specific day. So as always, this is your time to ask any final questions, share any final insights. Let me know how you're using the energy of the weekend. And we'll shuffle these up. Take a nice collective deep breath all together. As we exhale, we'll send our beautiful energy into the cards, asking the universe, what do we need to know right now? All right, here we go. Breathing in the deepest breath you've taken all day. Holding it, seeing if you can sip a little more air. And then releasing. What do we need to know? Oh, okay. Friday, I pulled them kind of out of order, but I'm going to trust in the way they're coming in. Friday is the frog. That has been a powerful message that has been coming through for me lately. Saturday is obsidian. And Sunday, the card that came through is the iboga, which is a plant. So I love that we got an animal, a crystal, and a plant. 3 different kinds of allies for the weekend. The frog is card number 40, our Friday card. And the message is, I embrace my evolution. Love this for us today and this weekend in general. Here's the message. Out in still water, frog sits atop a lily pad, soaking up the sun. From tadpole to the form it takes today, frog has experienced growth on many levels and understands the importance of each of those stages. Frog knows that you too have learned many lessons, but it is time for you to emerge as the embodiment of your whole self. Representing fertility and the abundance that life can offer, Frog encourages you to bask in the brightness of your own soul. You are full of unique life experiences, so take a moment to embrace your authentic self and leave any expectations from others go fluttering by without attaching to them. You have transformed beautifully into who you are meant to be. Welcome the ripe fruit of life and your next steps with confidence. So beautiful. I love how it talks about embracing your authentic self and letting expectations of others go. Perfect for the Aquarius moon, just taking that perspective. And even with the moon conjunct Pluto this morning, looking back on how you've transformed. I embrace my evolution is the mantra that comes with this card. You too have learned many lessons, but it is time for you to emerge as the embodiment of your whole self. Welcome the ripe fruit of life and your next steps with confidence. This really just feels like the perfect card for the energy of the entire weekend. Like really taking this moment, these last couple of days of Pisces season, to soak in the transformation you've undergone so you can emerge and step forward with confidence in Aries season. The Saturday card is card number 19, Obsidian. And the message coming through from Obsidian is, I am shielded from negativity. Wow, really great message already with Mercury connecting with Pluto, because it can bring up some darker thoughts or take us into darker places in our psyche. And it's okay to do that deep work, that shadow work, as we've been talking about, to become mentally aware of our shadows. But working with a stone like obsidian can help protect us from any negative energy getting attached to us. So here's what it says. Dark as the night, obsidian's black sheen can act as a protective barrier between you and negativity. This stone can also help ease stress and encourage growth. At the end of a long day, think about tuning into your spiritual practice. It might be the last thing on your mind. However, if you carry too much baggage from one day to the next, you eventually become too weighted down to continue. You are being reminded of the importance of releasing the activities of the previous day and cleansing yourself of any negativity that you could carry through into the next. Clear your space and keep obsidian by your side to help absorb any straggling negative energies so you can feel ready to embrace a whole new day. Honestly, what I'm getting is like all these cards are probably relevant for the entire weekend. So protect your energy this weekend. Again, it's the last few days of Pisces season. We're a little more open, which is great, but we can also be a little too open and get other people's energy stuck in our field. So really important to protect your energy either through obsidian or a spiritual cleanse or something like that. Energetic cleanse. Okay, and then the Sunday card. Ooh, the Sunday card is the Iboga. I see the medicine and the difficult experiences. Remember, this is coming through for the last day of Pisces, this very healing day, a day of darkness and introspection and stillness. So here's the message. With branches spread across the sky, the Iboga plant sits in the heat of the African sun. From small white flowers come orange fruits that sit amongst the plant's narrow dark green leaves. The spirit of Iboga is letting you know that your guides want to connect with you. Ooh, Sunday would be so powerful for meditation. It's time to become fully aware of any destructive patterns that have been holding you back. Can we say this turning point we've been talking about? There's nothing to be embarrassed about. We all develop coping mechanisms in an attempt to avoid repeating or experiencing past traumas. It's time to break the cycles and heal any past wounds that are subtly or not so subtly guiding your behaviors in the present. Spend a little time each day focusing on connecting with your higher self and guides about your dreams and aspirations, especially those related to releasing self-limiting patterns. Call in and then look for support in this healing process. Keep your eye on the end goal. Envision yourself choosing to do things in a new way that support your highest desires arriving in your life. Ooh. Sunday, it's the last day of the astrological year. It's the last day of Pisces season. What are you leaving in this season so that you can envision yourself doing things the way you want to do them, moving forward the way you want to move forward in this new year, in Aries season? Wow. Powerful messages of transformation, of letting go, of evolving, and of protecting our energy as we go through this transformation, this ending, this closure, this healing, preparing for a new beginning. Learning to move the energy through the chakras has been so helpful for me. Yeah, that's huge, Rachel. It's huge. Give yourself some credit. And yes, I knew you would love that frog, Diane. Fun fact. Julian and I did, and some friends that were visiting last weekend, we had a little ceremony, a little ritual together, and the card that Julian pulled was the frog, and it's sitting on his altar now. It was very resonant for him. It was like very synchronistic because he was thinking about a frog before he pulled it. And this is just, I can't wait to show him. It's just confirming that message for him and for me too. So we're ready. We're ready to leap forward. We're ready to jump to the next lily pad. We've just got to make sure that we're leaving what we want to leave behind so we're not taking baggage with us into this new year. Perfect cards. And I feel like Pisces season has really taught us all. We are always shedding, even during the busy seasons like Aries. Yeah, but just taking these next couple of days to really fully shed and release what we're not carrying into the next season. All right, everybody. That is going to do it for this episode of Transits today. I hope that was helpful in getting you ready for your weekend, helping you really soak in the last couple of days of Pisces season. I will be back on Monday for Aries season, for the new year. We've got a new moon on Tuesday. There's a lot of fresh energy coming in that I'm so excited to dive into with you all. It's a nice big reset we're coming into, but first we've got to really sink into what we're closing the door on, right? Great cards for the weekend, great for the last days of the astrological year. Definitely thinking these are speaking to me as well. To wrap up, don't take the baggage. Exactly. Nikki's been seeing more frogs too. I love it. Thank you for being here, Rose. I'll see you guys towards the end of the month. We're going to be so excited to send you some love and good energy. Make sure to remind us when your birthday is so we can celebrate you. I love countdowns, so it's fitting that my birthday is a countdown. So do a little birthday dance for me oh yeah, that's right. It's on the new moon. Oh, we're going to be sending you so much love for your birthday, Rose. Yeah, I hope you all have a beautiful weekend, a nice healing weekend that brings you some new perspectives and some final little gold nuggets of wisdom for this season. All right. With that, I will send you off on your way, but I just want to thank each and every one of you for continuing to show up here for yourselves, for continuing to show up for this community. You are all so magical and so special. And if you're new here, we're so excited to have you. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel so we can keep these coming to you for free every weekday. I love you all, and I will see you in Aries season. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.